There are natural-born leaders and others who thrive when they have leadership thrust upon them. Jordan Henderson will be the first to admit he falls into the latter category. Gareth Southgate may see a little of his own circumstances in the Liverpool skipper, which could offer an explanation why he's given him the armband following the deselection of Wayne Rooney for tonight's World Cup qualifier with Slovenia. Just as with England, Henderson was not expecting to be named Liverpool captain 2 years ago. He will be following a familiar trail if he initially shuffles with uncertainty before striding proudly in the shadow of a legend. Should the symmetry be extended, those questioning the wisdom of the decision will be pleasantly surprised as Henderson grows into the role. Henderson did not particularly crave the Liverpool armband. It was not lack of ambition, but he wanted his mentor Steven Gerrard to stay at the club. Gerrard's move to LA Galaxy created a vacancy no one beyond Brendan Rodgers and the Anfield hierarchy had seen coming, and the period of adjustment was tough. There were few candidates to replace him, and it was not until the start of the following season Rodgers confirmed Henderson as the permanent heir. He toyed with giving it to a more senior figure such as Kolo Toure or James Milner, but Milner had only just arrived from Manchester City. Henderson had his chance, but has since acknowledged his initial discomfort. On a personal level, his first year as Liverpool captain was awful. Injuries robbed him of playing time, and while respect for him in the changing room has always been absolute, the Border fan base felt Jurgen Klopp would eventually offer the job to someone more at ease. There was never a time when I didn't want the captaincy, or doubted whether I was the right man for it. There were times when it was hard to feel like the captain because I wasn't contributing on the pitch, Henderson recently admitted. If there was a turning point, certainly privately, we should head to Liverpool's pre-season summer training camp in Palo Alto last July. It was in California Henderson received assurances from Klopp. The most pertinent was regarding his position in the side, form permitting, Klopp informing the England midfielder he was going to turn him into a number 6. Henderson approached this as he has every Anfield challenge, embracing it and dedicating his time to make himself better. He spent hours being drilled, repeatedly, in his new position in the United States. If there were any doubts as to whether he was capable of readjustment, and after an early season defeat to Burnley plenty queried the manager's judgment, they have been extinguished. Henderson is currently displaying a level of maturity in his game many did not anticipate. He has never looked so good in a red shirt. Such transformations are the story of the 26-year-old's Liverpool career. He was a 21-year-old boy when he signed from Sunderland, one of the less flattering rumours suggesting the North East club were aghast when they received an £18 million offer in 2011. For those on the Kop still pining for the playmaking of Xabi Alonso or scurrying of Javier Mascherano, it was difficult to know what to make of this enthusiastic youngster who certainly covered the pitch but did not score, create or tackle enough. Rodgers tried to sell Henderson to Fulham in 2012 as part of a swap deal to bring Clint Dempsey to Anfield. The midfielder politely declined and said nothing publicly. Instead, he set about making sure Rodgers would eventually rewrite that bit of transfer history to disguise what, retrospectively, seems a gross misjudgment. The truth is, a trawl through archives confirms most supporters were more irate Dempsey was not signed than the prospect of Henderson being offloaded. Within 2 years Henderson had become such a valued member of Rodgers' title-chasing team it was his sending off in the last second of a victory against Manchester City that turned the Premier League race as much the defeat to Chelsea that immediately followed. Henderson was suspended for the game remembered for Gerrard's slip, Liverpool's midfield unbalanced. More importantly, Rodgers' initial impressions of Henderson's capabilities, 4 years ago he was waiting for Europa League group games to get onto the pitch, had been reversed. Whether it is Kenny Dalglish, Rodgers, Roy Hodgson, Sam Allardyce or Gareth Southgate, Henderson has the capacity to earn the trust and admiration of all those who coach him. Speak to anyone who has worked with Henderson or knows him personally and you will hear the same observations. A great guy. One of the hardest workers you'll ever see. Conscientious, dedicated and ambitious without the slightest hint of arrogance. He just needs to believe in himself more. These are qualities we crave in our Premier League footballers, but rarely credit at the risk of making ourselves candidates for private eye's Order of the Brown Nose. It will be more important to Henderson to be perceived as a great footballer and a good leader than a nice guy. This season he is showing is possible to be all three. He has never displayed more belief in his ability than now. He has become Liverpool's captain in more than name. He will not be England's next shouty Terry Butcher or press conference ambushing John Terry. He'll take the road sign-posted lead by example, and his post-Gerrard experience will serve him well as he leans on Rooney with one eye on taking the captaincy beyond 2018. After the murkiness of English football over the last few weeks, Henderson and Southgate sit comfortably representing a new era of the clean cut the nation needs. Inevitably, there will be those who need convincing. If so, remember this: should Henderson ever get around to writing his autobiography, the theme proving people wrong will dominate every chapter.